Hey SaaS people, it's Matteo from Omnistrate here. Today we're gonna have a Trino demo, but before jumping right into action, let me explain what Trino is. Trino, formerly known as Presto SQL, is an open source distributed query engine designed for high performance queries, and we can see in our schema some of their capabilities. So we can have multiple sources, such as a PostgreSDB or whatever, Mongo, and then an S3 bucket or a multi-cloud bucket, whatever we want. Then we have a Trino architecture where we have a coordinator and a lot of workers, potentially a lot, depending on your size of data that you want to elaborate, that allows you to break your queries into tasks, queries or any kind of data processing, and split it to these workers. Then in this case, we are going also to have Hive in the picture and Superset from Apache as well. Now, the architecture underlying, it's handled by Omnistrate. We will check the compose spec and I will show you how it is. But keep in mind that we handle all the volume mount, so you don't have to handle any storage. Everything works out of the box. And about the images, we have released some public images, but you can also use the open source ones. You don't necessarily need to use our version. So you can use your distributed data warehouse with business intelligence options. Now we choose Superset and Trino Presto UI, but then you can use whatever business intelligence tool that can use Trino as an interface and as a data source. So let's jump into action, shall we? Here we are, as always, on the Omnistrate platform. We decided to import our own compose. You will find it in our docs. I will leave you the link in the description. And let's now see what is done. Let's now see what has been done in this compose spec. So we set up the Omnistrate account. In this case, we are setting up a cloud account that we own, and then we're going to distribute our software on our own account. You, of course, have to use your own AWS account ID and your own Bootstrap role. For that, you're going to have to clone our repository account setup and run some Terraform scripts, but that's another video. So we now set the volumes, we set some services. Of course, we have a Postgres as shown in the schema. We have all the environment variables, the volumes. We have some action hooks. This is very interesting. We support actions with different scopes, in this case, cluster scope, that are going to be run, in this case, at the init stage. You can do whatever command you want. You can write an entire bash script, of course. Then we have a health check. There is a custom one. And we mark the resource as internal. This is very important because in this case, we are going to have a couple of internal resources and a public one. So basically, then we have our Hive image. We have a couple of API parameters. In this case, of course, the Postgres password and the bucket access role. In this case, we set up the bucket access role ARN in order for you to being able to access whatever bucket you have. It can be in another AWS account. It doesn't need to be the same. Aside from that, then we have our coordinator. Of course, we have our Trino coordinator image. And we have, of course, some Omnistrate type API params. In this case, we activated the Omnistrate capabilities, in particular the reverse proxy, because the coordinator is also the one that allows us to have the dashboard, the Trino dashboard. Then we have, of course, the exposed ports. And here you go. We have the worker. In this case, we have the same structure. We basically have another image, some volumes. This is also internal, of course. Then we have Superset, our chosen BI tool. And This is also internal. We could have added the proxy, the envoy proxy. In this case, we've chosen just not to add it, so let me just delete it. I will leave it up in the example, just so you can just uncomment and use it. Then we have our cluster resource. If you didn't know before, the cluster resource is basically a special kind of resource in Omnistrate that allows you to have dependencies between services and to have a unified way to declare the params. And as you can see, it's the only one that is marked as mode internal false because it's going to be public. Let's hit build service and see you in a couple of minutes. Okay, so to ease you up, this is basically how we create the cluster instance. We just choose AWS, we choose a region, then we have a bootstrap role and a password. Now, instead of just waiting for the creation to be done, I actually did it for you. And in this case, it just went up real quick. We can see the kind of bucket that we add because we export this detail. And then we can see the connectivity. In a minute, I will show you how it looks like to have the coordinator GUI and the superset one. We have, of course, some information about the ports. We have the nodes with a lifestyle status and health status. Then we have availability zones. We have the ports, and we have all the endpoints. We can see the metrics for each of the nodes, and we can check the logs. We can check the logs of every node. We can check what's happening in our deployment. Let's now see what it looks like. I will see you in a second. And here we are. We have our login screen, which is looking good. Okay. Then we can see the number of active workers. Now, not much is going on. We can see the uptime, the version that is deployed, and the environment. Then you can try to connect to the CLI and execute some queries to see how it goes. I'm gonna now check superset, and then we're good to go. Okay, and here we are. Can insert our credentials, and we can just log in. It has been super simple to deploy an entire architecture of Trino and a couple of other components, all harmonized, everything multi-cloud, being able to manipulate data from different sources. And it's pretty amazing what we do at Omnistrate. I will tell you why. When you're building a SaaS, you're basically reinventing the wheel every time. But what if we offered an operating system for your SaaS so you can focus only on delivering value and do differentiated work? So in this case, you can run and choose your dashboards. Of course, you can take care of your data structure, but you don't have to take care of the infrastructure, which is often painful, requires a lot of time, and we can save that. That's basically what we do at Omnistrate. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Ciao.